Well, good morning and thanks so much for joining us on After GMS, something we like to do on Facebook Live every morning around 7:45. Thanks for getting in contact with us and keeping up with the conversations. We have a few that are really good today. Let me introduce you to everyone. I'm Tracy McCain here in the studio. Stacy Spivey, Taran Kirksey, and Megan Malaris are working from home. And Taran, we'll start with you on this first day of July. The forecast feels like June or August.
Exactly, just typical summer, right? We have more heat, more humidity, high temperatures in the upper 80s to low 90s likely for the next at least week or so. We'll see a few pop-up showers or storms this afternoon. Won't be as widespread as it was yesterday. The chance of rain right around 30 to 40%. And then Thursday, mainly dry, maybe a stray isolated shower, but that rain chance only 20%. Friday looks completely dry. For the weekend, I think we'll see a couple of pop-up showers and storms around during the afternoon and evening hours. Does not look like a washout across the area right now, but we could see a storm develop that has some heavy rain briefly. So just make sure you keep an eye to the sky if you have any outdoor plans this weekend. That's a quick look at your 7-day forecast.
All right, let's start with our first conversation. And if I had pockets in this dress, Stacy, I'd be searching them right now, looking for loose change. So what do we need to know?
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and grab this. This is the only change I could find in my purse this morning. It's 51 cents, which I'm pretty proud of myself for having 50 cents. But our conversation surrounds this. Do you still carry change or coins in your pocket or in your purse? And if you've got some lying around, well, you may be among a few with some coins. Our sister station in Tennessee actually spoke with the president and CEO of a bank there. He says during this pandemic, the supply of coins shrunk because they were out of circulation and coins just weren't being made. But it's nothing to worry about. Anyone can help this shortage. Empty out your piggy bank and take that change to a bank or grocery store to trade it in for cash. So we asked you if you still carry change and use it. Janet Tate Williams says, I spend it so it doesn't accumulate in my purse. Brandon Lang says yes and no, quarters in my car in case I need an air machine. And John Forbes says, considering I own vending machines, I always have boatloads of change. I also had a lot of people say that yes, they still carry change. It seems like most people have some put in their car just in case they need it for whatever it may be, filling up their tire or I don't know what else, but curious to see what you guys have to say and also what some people are saying on our feed. So Tracy, I'll toss it back to you first. Do you still carry around change?
I mean, not a whole lot, but whatever change I do have just goes right back into my children's piggy bank. It's a tradition for our family when we were younger. You know, my parents kept the piggy bank full. Not really sure what happened to that money, but regardless, I'm doing the same with my children. And I mentioned this earlier on the Good Morning Show. You know, my son is having a little difficulty understanding the difference between dimes and pennies. And, you know, he's only 4, so I get it. But he thinks that dimes are worth less because they're smaller. And so he only wants pennies in his piggy bank and gets really upset with his sister Simone when she gets pennies. So I try to explain to him, you know, you'll be better off in the long run if you accept more dimes. But he is a determined little guy. So I carry a little bit of pocket change. Meg, how about you?
Yeah, I do. I try to carry both change and cash just in case there's an emergency. I brought up on the Good Morning Show the example a few years ago when I was on the coast covering a hurricane, and the hotel we had found that was open to stay at, the card readers were down because of the power outages. So they were accepting people only who had cash to pay for their rooms. And so just a reminder, I think it's always a good idea to carry some cash regardless of the circumstance, because you never know what kind of a situation you're going to find yourself in where you might need one.
Very true. All right, the cool guy, Taran Kirksey, you made a comment earlier that you were trying to be a little bit more hip and rad, you know, doing cashless payments. So tell us your story here.
Yeah, you know, first of all, I totally agree. You know, it's definitely a great idea to always have emergency cash on hand because you really never know when you might need to use it. I've been trying to use the little touchless I guess machine thing, the Apple Pay, or just like, you know, a card that you just like tap the little thing and it'll read it. So trying to, you know, just try new technology out. But all in all, I do prefer to the the security and the comfort of knowing that I have cash in my pocket is preferred, just in case. You never know.
Yeah, so I remember when the vending machines in the break room would only accept cash, and now you have the card as an option. They even now do the tapless payment like Taran was mentioning. So, I mean, it's kind of cut my honey bun habit in half, which is good. But at the same time, you know, the way that society is just kind of changing, it's not surprising that, you know, people don't use change as much. Surprised though that there's a shortage, because you'd think there'd be an excess of it because people don't use it as much. Kind of my thoughts. All right, so everybody's on a delay but me, so I'm going to keep reading the comments here and make sure we stay on track with our program. Michelle says, we save our change, just cashed in $75 worth. Heather Harness says, I have a coin purse on my keychain and I have a bunch in my car left over from my boyfriend. It was his car before. Awesome. Ellie Mae says, I stop at the ATM if I need cash. And Sharia says, I save my coins. Ellie Mae says, I love Apple Pay. So there you go. You, Taran, and Ellie are the two hip ones. I am not there yet. All right, so that was our first conversation right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at our headlines, Meg.
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about here. Let's start with the latest on COVID-19's impact on Triad living facilities. Let's start in Forsyth County. The Citadel in Winston-Salem confirmed another COVID-19 death yesterday. 3 people there have died from COVID. The Citadel also reported 4 new cases, bringing the total to 54. In Davidson County, the Brookdale of Lexington recorded its first death yesterday. They've reported 19 total cases so far. Claps Nursing Home says its outbreak is over. It's a bittersweet celebration there in Pleasant Garden. 24 people died, 94 were infected. This week, though, everyone at the facility tested negative, the first time in more than 2 months. The state will officially declare the end of the outbreak once it reaches 28 days without new cases. Claps does expect to reach that mark next Thursday. Today, Governor Roy Cooper is expected to give another COVID-19 update, but the update will not include a decision about a plan for schools this fall, we've learned. The governor was initially expected to make that announcement today, but it apparently has been delayed. So today's COVID briefing starts at 3 this afternoon. Earlier than that, the governor plans to make an economic development announcement at 11:30 this morning. You can stick with WFMY News 2 on air and online for the latest on both of those announcements.
All right, here's a look at your national headlines this morning. Dr. Anthony Fauci says the U.S. response to the coronavirus pandemic is, quote, going in the wrong direction, end quote. Well, he testified before a Senate committee, and the infectious disease expert said the outbreak is out of control in some parts of the country. Dr. Fauci said the infection rate could reach 100,000 a day, more than double the current rate. Mississippi's governor signed a bill that retires the state's flag, which currently uses the Confederate emblem. First flown in 1894, it is the last state banner to include the battle emblem. Governor Tate Reeves said he hopes that it will be a benefit to his state as people who live there look to move forward. A new state flag is now being designed. Europe is reopening to tourists starting today. People from more than a dozen countries are allowed back into the continent except for Americans because of our coronavirus numbers. Well, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says the U.S. is also denying travelers from Europe to the U.S., citing the same reasons.
Back here in the U.S., Independence Day will look different this year because of COVID-19. One thing that won't be changing, Highway Patrol troopers keeping you safe on the road this holiday weekend. WFMY News 2's Candace Redd tells you how they plan to do it.
Operation Firecracker is officially underway. The anti-drunk driving campaign kicked off on Monday and ends on Sunday. Well, we know that the purpose of the campaign is to increase awareness of the dangers and consequences of drinking and driving. Operation Firecracker rolls around each year during the 4th of July holiday week. Now, during the campaign, law enforcement agencies increased the number of patrols on the road and set up checking stations statewide. North Carolina had more than 2,700 patrols and checkpoints last year. And during that time, law enforcement agencies reported a total of 966 DWIs statewide, with 44 in Guilford County. Here's Trooper Brandon Baker with the North Carolina State Highway Patrol.
If drinking is part of their plans, to make sure they have an alternate route and plans ahead of time. That will prevent any type of enforcement activity on our part that should happen, as well as preventing a tragic situation from occurring if we're not able to stop them ahead of time.
If you're caught driving while impaired, you could face jail time or fines up to $10,000. Well, for more on this, all you have to do is visit our website. That's WFMYnews2.com.
Well, if you are waiting to go to the beach, you might want to do some research before you go. Beach rules might be different depending on where you go, and the rules differ from state to state. Some might not allow certain activities, while others might limit the number of people on the beach at one time. Beyond the rules, plan ahead when it comes to food and finding a restroom. Concession stands, public restrooms, and showers might be closed. When you arrive to the beach, remember to keep your distance from others. Experts say you should also bring a mask and plan to wear it as you're out and about.
If you decide to go for a walk or anywhere where you might come into close proximity with other people, always make sure to put your mask back on.
Well, one more tip, if you arrive to a beach that appears overcrowded, try a couple blocks north or south where it might not be as congested.
Well, all this talk about the beach has got me thinking about summer plans. And typically this time of year, we're usually traveling around, have a lot of exciting summer vacations, but obviously things are different this summer with the coronavirus pandemic. So this morning we want to know, do you have any plans to travel this summer, whether it be driving, flying, or are you not planning to travel at all? So as you're typing your responses right now on our Facebook stream, I want you to listen to this. Air travel has actually increased slowly since mid-April, although it's still down 75% from normal. And some flights have even been packed. So much so yesterday, Dr. Anthony Fauci criticized American Airlines and their decision to pack flights full as the outbreak continues. Several U.S. airlines say they are limiting capacity on planes to around 60% of all seats. However, United Airlines never promised to leave seats empty, and American said it would drop its effort to keep half of all middle seats empty. So continue typing right now. Let us know if you're planning to travel this summer and how you plan to do so. Driving, flying, or just not traveling at all. So I think that for me, it just really depends on the situation. I flew because of personal reasons a couple weekends ago, or actually last weekend and a few weekends ago before that. And then I plan on driving to the beach in a couple of weeks. But as I travel, I really keep those main points in mind: social distancing, wearing a mask out in public, and just trying to stay safe during this time. But I'll go ahead and toss it back in the studio to you, Tracy. Any travel plans for the summer?
Nope, no plans. I will keep this short and concise. We are just not there with a comfortability level yet, but we will get there, just not right now. All right, Taran, how about you?
My wife and I have gone to a few parks and stuff kind of around the state, just going on a couple of little road trip type of things. As far as getting on a plane, probably not right now, unless we absolutely, had to, let's say, go back home or something like that for some type of emergency or some type of a special occasion. But as far as I know, there are no emergencies happening in my family right now. And I do think that they might need to do more as far as the social distancing on a plane. Now, I know you can only do so much. Everybody's just generally packed in pretty tight anyway. But, seeing the images that we've seen and also hearing from you all the way the planes have been packed, that doesn't make me feel too comfortable to get on the plane right now. So I think for now, a car will be the way to go if my wife and I decide to go somewhere.
Yeah. All right, Meg, you're next to weigh in.
Yeah, I shared this on the Good Morning Show. I had to fly recently for a family emergency back in the Midwest, a funeral. It was something we had to book very last minute, and we didn't have a lot of options. American was the only airline that offered flights at the times that worked for us and at an affordable price. And unfortunately, the experience was not at my comfort level. Of course, we took the utmost precautions. I wore a mask and a face shield and probably went through 2 or 3 bottles of mini hand sanitizer to and from the flights and wiped down the seats before and after we got in them. However, the planes I felt were way too crowded for what I'm comfortable with. And if I had any other choice, I would not have flown, especially not that airline, even though I've long been an American flyer and even a card holder. I'm just not comfortable with these current policies. So my suggestion to anybody watching and maybe needing to plan a flight or considering planning one later this year, I would advise maybe driving if it's possible with time and circumstance, or looking into researching different airlines, because some do have policies where they're leaving the middle seats open, where they're limiting capacity on planes to 60% or fewer. Of course, all this could change in the coming months, but definitely important to do your research if time and circumstance allows.
All right, great note there. We did hear from Bobby Davis, who said Bobby's not traveling for family. We will be doing staycations, just doing family stuff around the house and maybe visiting with our immediate family for right now. So, I mean, again, we talked about this on the Good Morning Show. It is about your comfort level, and people have different ones. Some who travel for a living, they have an industry, are in an industry where they have to get on a plane every single day. Maybe you're a flight attendant, or maybe you just travel for work. I mean, those types of folks, have to, go on a plane every day. However, it's also part of like our economy. So, if you close the airlines and you close the airports, then you're also limiting the people who are working in the parking decks. They're working at the different restaurants in the airport. So it's like, it has this ripple effect that, could be disastrous for the economy. So, I always just go on what I feel comfortable with, and, the country's not going to stop, right? So you just have to do whatever you feel is best. And Tarang, you're shaking your head yes, so I'm thinking that you support, or at least agree with some of what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, definitely, that's the case. You have to do, what you're comfortable with, and in some cases do what you have to do. If emergency comes up, then you have to travel, or even other things. When emergencies come up, you have to do what you have to do, even if it's not necessarily, what you would prefer to do. And that could be in a variety of things that come up over the course of your life. So I definitely understand that, and definitely agree. You have to try to, do what's best for you as your comfort at the end of the day.
It's not comfortable? 89, 90 degree weather, heat and humidity. Those are the days that just say, hey, welcome to North Carolina in the summer.
Yeah, that's it. And we have more of that on the way. So let's go ahead and look at the 7-day again. There you go. Hot for 7 days. It might rain from time to time. That's your forecast. Thank you. I don't know what else you want from me.
Yeah, granted, we don't want like a hurricane or anything like that, but it would keep your forecast a little bit more entertaining.
Yeah, because it's about to be just kind of a broken record for the next 7 days. Friday appears to be the day that's dry for everybody. Thursday, almost everybody will stay completely dry. And then just, again, a little bit 20-30% chance of rain the rest of the forecast period there. Some of the forecast models are indicating something off the coast next week, but that's where it'll be, not anywhere near the Piedmont if that does come to pass. So we're not worried about that around here.
Quiet isn't always a bad thing,
No.
I'll take quiet because we know what it could be, and it could always be worse. All right, we're going to go ahead and close out now, and make sure that you join us tomorrow with more conversations and some more good times with some good folks. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Thanks so much for joining us. Take care.